Never have I witnessed municipal spot zoning indiscriminately like we're seeing today, especially against the will of the actual parcel owners.
At their meeting on August 21st, 2023, Ann Arbor City Council voted unanimously to approve the rezoning of 11 parcels recently annexed into the city. Their decision was contrary to the recommendations of city staff and ignored the objections of area residents. The City of Ann Arbor recently annexed 11 parcels that were previously part of Ann Arbor Township. An annexation cannot move forward without approval from the State Boundary Commission. This commission specifically considers questions about future growth and a municipality's ability to provide services. Annexation into the city requires the property owners to pay to connect to city water and sewer service. Property owners may express opposition to an annexation and request exemption. After annexation, the parcels will be zoned through a process that involves city staff, mayoral appointees on the city's planning commission, and elected representatives on city council. In 2018, a plan to annex parcels on the north side of town faced opposition. After litigation, some properties were excluded. In October 2020, the city's planning commission considered a request for annexation from the Rudolf Steiner School. The school owns a 12-acre parcel at 2775 Newport, which was, at the time, in Ann Arbor Township. A staff report recommended that the property be annexed and zoned R1A. The Planning Commission, including then-Commissioner Erica Briggs, voted unanimously to approve the annexation and rezoning to R1A. In December 2020, the whole of City Council, including newly elected council members Briggs, Dish, Iyer, Radina, and Song, voted unanimously to approve the annexation, with language explaining that council action on the proposed R1A zoning will be scheduled after the annexation process is complete. In November 2022, the city's Planning Commission considered the annexation of 2118 Victoria Circle. The commission, including council liaison Lisa Dish, voted unanimously to approve the annexation and rezoning to R1A. In January 2023, City Council voted unanimously to approve the annexation of 2118 Victoria Circle into the city. The staff report included recommended zoning of R1A. These two properties, the Steiner School property and 2118 Victoria Circle, were two of the 11 annexed parcels that would eventually be rezoned by Ann Arbor City Council. The area of Newport Rd, Bird Road, and Victoria Circle are heavily wooded lots on the northern edge of town within the Huron River watershed. In May 2023, mayoral appointees on the Planning Commission considered the question of zoning for the 11 annexed parcels in this area. Of the 11 parcels, only one is vacant. 9 parcels are developed with homes, and one is the location of Rudolf Steiner School. In advance of the meeting, residents living within 100 feet of the annexed parcels were sent notice of the upcoming decision and invited to participate in a public hearing. That notice explained the city's intention to zone these parcels R1A. At their meeting on May 16th, mayoral appointees to the Planning Commission heard from city staff.
Staff recommends R1A for all of the parcels since they are surrounded by R1A zoning and single-family zoning is consistent with the recommendations of the land use element of the comprehensive plan.
Commissioners proposed their own ideas for zoning categories, and staff responded.
I want to ask staff whether there would be another zoning designation that could work here. I was thinking R4C.
R4C zoning applies to locations in close proximity to the Central Business District and University of Michigan campus. The locations at Newport, Bird, and Victoria are several miles away from both.
I think choosing 11 parcels along the Newport Rd corridor, which has long had a history of R1A zoning, and rezoning them to multifamily would be inconsistent with the current comprehensive plan. I think choosing 11 parcels wouldn't be consistent with our current comprehensive plan.
Sure. I mean, I appreciate all of that, but we don't get a lot of opportunity for inbound zoning changes like this.
Going to R4C, that would require different utility recommendations under the city's specifications. So I totally agree with Jeff's articulation. I think the comprehensive plan is the place to have that. I think that it would be I just think it would be sort of arbitrary to pick these parcels in the context of a larger land use pattern.
We're on like a horseshoe that front Pauline, which are all zoned R2. So anything that fronts a major corridor is zoned R2, while any interior residential parcels are zoned R1. So similarly, we have several parcels here along Bird and Newport that would match a very similar pattern next to my adjacency that's actually R2 that allows duplexes.
R2 zoning is considered appropriate for locations with access to adequate public services to serve higher densities. The Horseshoe on Pauline is served by 3 city bus lines and is 1 block from the commercial corridor of Stadium Boulevard. The properties at Newport, Bird, and Victoria are served by 1 bus line and are not within walking distance of any commercial corridor.
I would presume that R2 is more similar to R1, but again, I don't want to speak for a lot of technical expertise across the organization that has vetted this from an R1 perspective.
Would there be a similar issue and similar objections to just an R1 designation with a smaller lot size, like R1B?
You're welcome to recommend whatever you'd like to recommend. But we are recommending approval of the R1A for consistency.
It's perfectly possible that somebody could divide and build twice as many or 3 times as many homes on some of these lots. So I also, it's only a few lots.
When the Planning Commission substituted its own recommendation of R1D against the recommendation of staff, the commission chair acknowledged how the last-minute change could not have been anticipated by local residents.
Because it wasn't posted this way, and there's a bunch of people that live here, do we have any obligation with that? Or is it just like they have from now till city council and that's their chance? I'm just curious.
It is possible that somebody was presuming it was going to be consistent with the surrounding area, but it will be renoticed with the city council with the updated modifications.
In a split vote, the city's planning commission voted to approve R1D zoning for the 11 parcels. On August 21st, 2023, Council considered final approval for the rezoning of the 11 properties on Newport Road, Bird Road, and Victoria Circle. At a public hearing earlier in the evening, area residents spoke out.
I'm Linda Young, and I live at 2828 Englave Drive. My background includes participating in the Development Natural Features Subcommittee for the 1995 Ann Arbor West Area Plan and being a former planning commissioner for Ann Arbor Township. These properties on Newport Road are on or very near a dangerous curve. Accidents have occurred. To have that small corner be built out to 12 dwellings on a 1.7 acre lot would increase the likelihood of an accident. With limited sight lines, and it's irresponsible. We have 6 pages and then of the protest petition. There we go. Thank you.
Currently, there's an informal wildlife and conservation corridor coming down the hill, starting at Skyline and going to the river. This runs through these properties. A zoning of R1D would stop this daily animal movement with the potential of causing irreparable damage to the ecosystem.
I work in commercial real estate, so I've been before councils like this, usually asking for a zoning change or a variance. But when in those positions, I've worked with city officials to ensure that our goals are aligned and that changes are in keeping with the surrounding areas. Never have I witnessed municipal spot zoning indiscriminately like we're seeing today, especially against the will of the actual parcel owners. When these properties were annexed, the point was to join with a R1 zoning designation, not an R1D zoning designation. By changing it to R1D, it completely contradicts the essence of that approval and of that recommendation. There's been no watershed, no environmental impact studies done, which would be required if a developer brought this to you, right? But none of that has been done.
I would say that it's in my financial interest to just go along with R1D, but I don't think that my financial interest is the most important consideration in this situation.
When this rezoning was considered at the city's planning commission, Councilmember Lisa Dish voted against it in her role as council liaison.
I feel like it's more symbolic what we're talking about right now, and so maybe that doesn't, I mean, if I felt like it made a material difference, I might care more, but maybe for the symbolism, I'll opt for the symbolism of community discussion over planning commission.
At the council table on August 21st, Councilmember Dish advocated for the rezoning.
Now, it is true that planning staff recommended R1A, which is consistent with the surrounding properties. Planning Commission and City Council have discretion to reconsider staff recommendations in light of policy priorities. The resounding support for the affordable housing millage suggests that R1D is more in line with residents' values, priorities, and aspirations today.
Council approved the rezoning unanimously. Like and subscribe if you would like to see more content like this.